This is the Harbor Management Commission's Mooring Committee meeting for March 11th, 2021, beginning at 9 a.m. by teleconference. All participants are allowed to listen but not participate in today's call. If you have comments, you are welcome to make them by email by emailing, I'll spell it, Tango Zulu India Papa Oscar Romeo Alpha Hotel at me.com. Tango Zulu India Papa Oscar Romeo Alpha Hotel at mikeecho.com. All right, the first thing on our agenda today is a Harbor Masters report. We have Ed on the phone and Jeff Stedman, and have any other participants joined just before we start?
Good morning, Jack. This is Kim. I'm here.
Good. Okay, good, Kim. And Sam and Harry, you still have not joined, correct? Okay, I'll show them as absent. Thanks for joining, Kim. Ed, let me turn it over to you for the Harbor Masters report.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Everything this past month has centered around, just a few things, mostly online mooring. Currently, we have 68 people on the wait list. Our approval rate is for all of those remaining moorings, both North Anchorage, South Anchorage, etc., is, if you look at the gauge, about 2/3 to 3/4. Here it is, the 11th of March, and I have not heard back from several people, so I am being very proactive, and I have started this morning reaching out to people and wondering what is going on with their mooring applications so that we can assign those moorings if they choose to vacate to someone else. There's been a number of email changes, which they did not, the applicant did not change on their profile. I found one person has moved out of state, so where it is right now is pretty much the same as last month. I know that I have 2 moorings to assign, and I'm assuming that there will be at least 1 or 2 more. So I want to find out that information out ASAP. I received another communication from Mr. Palmer regarding his $50 deposit for the wait list many years ago. I responded to him that the document that he supplied us appears to be from South Benson Marina application, which he is asking us to provide a document showing a non-returnable fee, which I don't have that at my disposal right now, so I told him that I would bring his concern up at this morning's meeting, as well as do some additional research when that is possible. But he remains appreciative of our concerted efforts on his behalf.
Ed, I thought let me just ask a question. On that case, I thought that the status was that we had asked him to provide the full document because all he sent us was a little piece of the bottom of one page previously.
Yeah,
where is that?
It's essentially the same thing. I don't believe he has the document. So
where did he get what he sent us?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out, because it has different nomenclature at the bottom of the at the bottom of the page that he sent, which is stuff like for office use only, and that to my knowledge that was never included in the Southport in HMC documents for the wait list.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
But this is Kim. One thing that we might do, Ed, is we discover to send him Justin Cathcart's contact information. One of the things that we discovered in the survey was that there were a few folks who didn't understand that the Harbor Management Commission had no authority over what goes on at South Benson. So.
Good point.
Right. Yeah. I can advise him to reach out to Justin.
Right.
If you feel is that the way that I should do that, or?
I think so, because it looked to me that that document that he sent was clearly a South Benson. You know, it had the you had to say what size boat you had, and I mean clearly it said if you put in writing that you're not going to use a mooring here, you're entitled to your $50 back. So.
Sure. Okay. I'll do that.
Okay.
And let him proceed in that avenue.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. What else? I've been doing some research into the HMC patrol vessel. I don't really have any updates on that yet. I'll let you guys comment on that as far as the risk management and stuff like that. But,
okay. Well, yeah, we
other
can get
than that, we're
fourth item. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I believe that concludes my report then.
Okay.
Could I ask
so
a
the
question?
next item on the agenda was the vacant mooring assignment. So I've noted here that you feel like there's 2 for sure and probably 1 or 2 more, and we'll hear more about that perhaps in our next month's meeting when you've got some clarity from these people
Yes.
you're reaching out to. Is that right? Okay.
Definitely. I mean, I would like to have them assigned by that time.
Right.
For everyone's benefit.
Right, sure. Of the ones that we know about, are they both deep water moorings?
One is not.
Okay, good. Okay, good to know. All right.
Can I ask a question, Jack?
Sure, go ahead, yes.
Ed, for sending out the stickers and whatever you do send to communicate with the mooring permit holders, we have to do our annual report, which we've included a paper copy in the mailings to everyone in the past, and we've done that. I guess it's been ready at the beginning of April. So I've started to work on that. But do we still intend to make paper copies and send it to everyone, or I think last year we posted it on the town website? But how do you wish to handle the annual report this year?
Well, I'd like to toss that out for discussion. I have the mooring stickers in hand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, depending on what the expense is, you guys know me. I'm trying to be frugal with our funds. I mean, if the cost of printing an annual report is deemed to be excessive by the group, then we would forego that and maybe just have a simple insertion. Here's your 2021 mooring sticker, and might elaborate on that a bit, of course. But
we could attach a PDF to an email, also on the using the online mooring system. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep.
So we could do it that way too, if we wanted.
This is Kim. How many annual reports go to people who don't have? Who aren't getting a mooring sticker?
We don't mail them. Previously we'd make copies and have a number, to the town hall for the select person's office and other town departments, and then we'd have copies that we placed for the public in town hall and also at the Pequot Yacht Club, and I don't know if there are any other places. And then historically we mailed them to all the permittees. So I guess the first thing is to get the report, completed and prepared, and then decide how the best way to distribute it is in this environment. I think it would still be, I think, a good idea to make at least some for the selectmen and maybe some of the departments that help us. But
absolutely.
I guess after we get the report, I'm starting to try to assemble some of the things that we usually write about, such as the blessing of the fleet. Of course, didn't take place, but there are many other things that we've been working on this year that should be mentioned to people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But that's always been ready at the beginning of April when we send out the mooring stickers. So I don't know what Ed's schedule is for doing that this year.
Well, like I mentioned beforehand. We have maybe 2/3 of the people are ready to receive their mooring stickers. Boats aren't in the water, nor are the moorings ready. But I could send them out physically at any time. But if we want to have an enclosure with the sticker, then obviously those should go out at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I think we had 2 enclosures: a letter from myself and the annual report.
Yes. Time goes by fast, Ed. Remember you picked it up down there?
Yes, I do.
Seems like yesterday.
And it does. Yeah, time does. Time and tide wait for no one. And I must publicly thank my lovely wife Diane for helping me fold all of that stuff and stuff it. So,
bravo, Diane.
Diane L. Billings.
Well, Pat his great grandkids help him. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it seems to me that we could certainly people have gotten used to messages from Ed that direct them to some other place or to do something, and I'm thinking specifically here of the annual report of the survey. So it seems to me that even if we have an enclosure that's a small piece of paper that says, this is the website, go read about the annual report. We could certainly cut down significantly on printing costs, I think, but I agree that we need to have a few available for folks who the First Select Woman and places like that. So,
which could be just simply printed out. If you need a dozen of them,
right, exactly.
Much cheaper, right? Much cheaper that way.
I assume it's cheaper. Jeff, you would have to give us some advice on that, but there must be a.
But what we do is we print it so it's it's an 11 by 7 folded document, if you will, with 4 pages. So it's like a folded pamphlet that opens up, but it's 8.5 by 11. But it's just one sheet. It's not stapled or
right.
It's one folded sheet with 4 sides. So we can get it, we get the document done by in the next couple weeks, and then I guess we can. Yeah, I think it makes sense to send a link maybe to people, but we can figure that out, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess in the meantime,
the hardest part is getting it done.
Because if we know what the cost is, we can make a judgment about that.
I'll get the cost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I may say, this is 2021. We're still in kind of a transition period from the old paper, forms to fully electronic. So, we're taking. I was going to say baby steps, but I think we're taking major strides towards full electronic communications. So I think this is a good way to do that, kind of weaning ourselves, if you may, away from the paper documents and, cutting down the expense, of course. But as Kim mentioned, people are mostly responsive to my emails. And so,
Does the online system allow you to put a link on the online system that people could click on to get
yes.
access to a document? Okay, so that's
yes.
and including on the town website and the online system, that would seem to be a way to do it, and then some copies just for the town officials.
Right.
Exactly.
And again, we could ask the First Select Woman if she would just mention it in her Friday emails that it's available.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right, with the link. Right.
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 Very good.
Okay. If there's nothing more on that, I think we've covered the status of the patrol vessel, but for any update, Kim, you might have with your communications with the town?
Yeah, I have been in touch twice with the town's risk manager, and he has, as recently as a couple days ago, I asked again for a estimate of our insurance costs, and he has not gotten back to me. So I will continue to try and get that information from him. This is budget season at Town Hall, so I think everybody's probably up to their eyeballs in getting that done. But I will stay on that, and I'm in fact I might even pick up the telephone tomorrow if I haven't heard back from him and give him a call. But I also communicated with the town purchasing manager, and he was very helpful. He got back to me with some good news and some bad news. He gave me the name of two companies that maintain the town boats. One is in Shelton, the other is in Bridgeport. And he suggested, and I'm quoting him now, that we contact both companies for price to repair the boat. He is concerned. He said that the harbor master is okayed to do some of the small jobs, but and this is again a direct quote: if the harbor master will be performing thousands of dollars in repairs and then asking for reimbursement for the repairs, then I would say that self-performance of such work is not, emphasis added, underlined, bold print, not okay. So what I thought would be the appropriate thing to do would be to take our list of estimated costs for a variety for the repairs and simply sit down with him or on the phone sit down with him and run through it, and so we have some idea of what he means when he says minor items. Because it seemed to me that a lot of what we're doing is minor. And if he's looking at the bottom line, all those minor items added up get us to a number that he's not comfortable with. But I don't know that that's the case. So what I thought I'd do is, after I reported to you guys, and you get back to him with the list. And I guess, Ed, if there are any things that you want to, any big items that you want to break out into the smaller pieces. I mean, I'm thinking now of the winterizing part of it. Then maybe there's a revised list that I should be working from. But in any event, that's his position.
Okay, you can forward me those. Then you want me to take the ball now and run with it? Is that it? I mean,
are you comfortable doing that? I mean, that probably is that's probably the most efficient way to do it, because then you and he have the conversation.
Right.
If I'm the middleman, then I just have to. Yeah. That takes more time for everybody.
Right. Just send me an email with the contact numbers, and we'll open up a discussion.
Okay.
Okay. He was very, very helpful when I talked to him. Also, very easy to work with.
Yeah. No. His intention was to be helpful, and he concluded by saying, please let me know if there's anything else I can do, and please feel free to call. So, my email was vague enough so that he really didn't know what I was talking about in terms of things that needed to be done, and he really was making an effort, I think, to be helpful. So, good.
Would it be helpful at all if I know the Stratford Commission and the Stanford Commission both provide vessels for the harbor masters, and actually there was a talk about the insurance in Stratford the other night. Would it be helpful if I could call those two towns and ask how they? I mean, it doesn't mean because they do something Fairfield that does it, but just to get a sense on how they manage the two harbor master boats. Or is that just
sure?
Because I know both of those guys, so I can call them, right after the meeting and ask how they.
Do they But Jeff, do they have the same kind of harbor account that we do?
Oh yes, because the harbor fees have to be dedicated for
Right.
expenses of the harbor master and the commission and harbor improvements for the public. So
right.
I just don't know where the funds, how they manage the funds for repairs of the boats but I can find that out. There might be something helpful. I mean,
there very well might be. And the one piece of it, what we do is so different in so many ways from what other town departments do, that it didn't occur to me when I sent the email to the purchasing manager that perhaps if we are using money that is not appropriated by the RTM, that the procedures might be different.
Right, because I'm sorry, Kim.
Yeah.
To talk. I can't see you.
Go ahead,
but
Jeff.
The statute clearly says that the fees collected by the commission are only to be used for and they specify expenses of the harbor master, as well as the commission and projects for the public. And then there's the question of insurance is also an interesting one. Well, anyway, let me see what I can find from those other two.
Well, and I will go back to both the risk manager and the purchasing manager and spell out where the money comes from and see if that changes their answer or their consideration of what we're trying to do. And then Ed, I'll let you go. I'll send that information on to you.
It's interesting because at the end of the day, the boat is a town asset, so it still falls under town assets and the rules related.
Right.
To that. So we'll see.
Right, and I think we want to be mindful of, I know we want to be mindful of what the proper procedures are. So.
I remember there was, not to belabor all this discussion, it's interesting, but years ago there was discussions with the state about the harbor master boats. And there was a fellow, he was an assistant attorney general assigned to the Bureau of Aviation and Ports, and he was a very good guy, and he always helped us. And the question was, at that time, there were a number of harbor masters that used their own boats for their purposes. They're state officials, and they were using their private vessels for, doing what they needed to do. And there was a discussion about insurance that was necessary. And I remember, Mr. Pernaruski is the guy's name. I think he's still there. Saying that you needed to have more than just insurance on the boat for recreational use. It had to reflect that you were doing duties of the state harbor master, which of course goes without saying, I guess. But not everyone had that extra insurance at the time. And now we're in the process. You have a town boat, and it's used by a state official, and so. But if you don't mind, I'll call both the Stamford and Stratford harbor masters right after the meeting.
Okay, and I'll get in touch
what I can
with
learn from those towns.
Okay, good.
But both those commissions control the boats. I don't know if they specifically own them or how that relationship is, but the commissions provide boats for the harbor master, or a boat in each town.
So, Kim, subject to any modification to the budget based on what happens with the purchasing department about using outside vendors for certain to-be-determined significant updates to the vessel, are there any other documents or things that we need to complete that you don't have yet? I was sort of operating with it. You have the paperwork that's needed to get the town's approval for the acquisition of the boat, but I wanted to check with you on that.
No, I believe that. I mean that the paperwork, the statement that you and Ed have put together and forwarded on to me. It's my understanding from the folks that I spoke with that that's all we needed. So and to the best of my knowledge, the only thing that we're missing is the insurance estimate from the town's risk manager.
Right, and then any updates that come from this discussion about work to be done potentially by
Right.
other commercial
Right.
vendors. Okay.
Right.
Good.
But I think we're good to go, and you know, I'm a little concerned that we haven't heard back. You know, which is, but I don't know. I don't know whether it. Well, I'm concerned we haven't heard back, but to the best of my knowledge, that's all we need. So I'll just stay on it. I'd like to get it.
Just get a ballpark number. We can use that in our budget and go on,
Right.
and then work out the details at some point in the future. Whether it's
Exactly.
privately or done through the town's master policy, we'll figure it out.
Right. Right. And that's what I said. We just need a ballpark number. And maybe, I don't know, maybe
we could find out commercially from a local agency what it would cost if it were done privately as opposed through the town's master policy and use that number. I would assume that the town's number, if anything, is not going to be more than a privately purchased commercial policy.
Well, maybe we go ahead and just submit the paperwork with an estimate. We just put in the put in the paperwork that it's a private estimate, and we assume that there'll be less. We're waiting on the town risk manager, and we assume it will be less, but this is what it would cost us privately.
Right.
I mean, I'm mindful that the commission at the last meeting said, let's go ahead and get it done, and here's your budget, and I'd like to. Would be great if we could submit it before the next meeting.
Right. And I know in conversations I've had with Ed, he's hopeful that he could get this work done to get the boat in the water to be able to use as the season begins. So, which
absolutely
is feasible if we can get a green light from the town. So, good. All right.
Do we have any sources of information from a private?
I mean, any insurance agency should be able to help us out with that. So, any property and casualty agency should give us a quote.
The Stratford Harbor Master owns an insurance company in Fairfield, I believe, and they provide the insurance for the Stratford Harbor Master boat. I forget. Anyway, I'm just digressing, but
we could get a quote. We could get a quote just to get a commercial quote for what it would cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Let's do that.
All right.
Okay, just to be clear, who's going to be pursuing that? Hello?
Hello, Ed?
Good question, Ed.
Okay. Dead airspace. I wasn't sure if I lost everybody.
You're
seems like
looking
all they
for
would need is what are the specs of the boat that we're wanting to insure and who's operating
right.
it. So.
I could get that from the Hatfield Insurance Agency.
I mean,
at least just get a quote if you don't.
Yeah, well, just give a ball. It's used for budgeting purposes, I think.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, thank you. That's great.
Yeah, as I said, I know the fellow, and they insure the Stratford Harbor Master boat. So I'll.
Right. Do you have the specs, Jeff, for what the boat is that Ed's looking at?
I was going to call. If you could, I can talk to Ed, after the meeting, or if it's very quick, I can just write it down.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy, right? Ed, what's the length of this boat?
Yeah, 17-foot whaler with a so it's 50 or 60 horse
outboard.
Yamaha on it.
Okay.
And the year is
let's see, the boat
79?
is a 1985, and the motor is a 2012, I believe.
Okay.
That's probably all they need.
I'll do that.
I maybe need serial numbers. I can follow up with serial numbers.
Yeah, we're just getting a quote. We don't need to.
Yeah.
I can do that right now, or 9:30. All right.
It needs personal information about myself, but
no, that's good.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to new business, the one item I'm aware of is that we did receive a letter at the Harbor Management Commission on March 5th, 2021 from Attorney John Casey, and I guess from a status standpoint I can update the group that my understanding is at this point the Commission is reviewing Mr. Casey's letter. I don't know, Kim, is there anything more that you'd want to add?
I don't think so. We will be bringing up Mr. Casey's request that we request that about what documentation we have asked of other mooring applicants. And discussing it at our meeting on Tuesday.
Okay. Any other new business for today? All right. Hearing none, I would ask for motion to adjourn.
I move.
Okay. We have a few people. I can second it, I suppose. We're adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
We'll talk on Tuesday.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
all right.
bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.